Well, thank you all for joining us today. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Reece with AFC Vacations. Hope you're all doing well. We are hitting the road with some great tours already having departed, and today I'll be covering the majestic national parks of the U.S., as well as some of the best sellers domestically. Now, if you've done a lot of international travel or just looking for trips closer to home, these will be great opportunities for you. Now, these parks I'll be covering are vast, and this show will focus on the landscape of America. Franklin Delano Roosevelt once said, "There's nothing so American as our national parks." The fundamental idea behind the parks is that the country belongs to the people, that it's in process of making for the enrichment of the lives of all of us. And filmmaker Ken Burns said, "The national parks are the Declaration of Independence applied to the landscape." Now, these are incredible destinations that preserve our nation's backyard, our forests, our mountains, our rivers, and our home. And we're lucky to have these areas to visit and explore. So AFC Vacations makes it easy to get to these unbelievable spots. Now, what's included with AFC Vacations? We offer worldwide tours and cruises. So not only our motor coach tours to our national parks, our European river cruises, train tours around the world, and ocean cruises as well. So great ways to get around. And our one hotel stays are some of our most popular trips that allow you to unpack once and settle in at a hotel and then head out for different adventures from there. Now, we also offer inclusive and honest pricing with no gimmicks or tricks, and our prices include round-trip airfare, home pickup, or a home pickup credit if you choose to make your own way to the airport. And we have some incredible tour managers. These are an unbelievable group of knowledgeable, experienced guides, and they really do care about you as our traveler. They go above and beyond making sure your experience is fantastic. Our hotels, activities, and dining that we provide on tour give you a great taste of local life and some regional specialties as well. And then the hotels we use are well located and comfortable. And the included sightseeing make our trips memorable, as well as the guided commentary to bring to life the destination. Now, with our AFC guarantees, one of those is something we recently introduced, which is guaranteed pricing. So once your deposit is paid on your tour, your price is locked in. Even as fuel prices change for motor coaches and river cruises, once you pay your deposit, you don't have to worry about any fluctuation. We also have guaranteed departures. What that means is when you see the GD symbol on our brochure or on our website, this means the trip has enough passengers to travel and they're ready to go out the door. So as we move through 2023, you'll see a lot more of these programs going to the guaranteed status. What we're really about is real people and real service. And I say this over and over again, but it really is true. Our team in the office and the folks out on the road are fantastic at what they do. So many years of experience that combine to create a great opportunity for you to travel. We also, as I mentioned before, include round-trip air from many different airports that you can see in our brochures. And as a team, as soon as you call, Randy Case used to say, "One call does it all." So we make your experience really easy to book a trip and get out the door. Now, for over 25 years, we've been making travel easier for folks, and we do a round-trip airport pickup service. So what that means is we pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and bring you home from your return flight. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the experience. New for 2023 is also our home pickup credit. So if you do choose to use Uber or Lyft, or if you have a preference on car service, we automatically knock off $100 per person rather than choosing our home pickup service. So this is a great way to save some money and make it nice and easy for you. Now, we also like to do these different show specials for different programs that we talk about. And for today, we're doing a special which offers a new tour for 2023, tour or river cruise. If you book by Friday, March 3rd, we'll knock $100 off the deposit. So normally our brochure deposit is $350. We'll bring that down to $250, so less money up front. Then we'll also take $20 off the travel protection or the insurance if you pay for that with deposit. And a lot of different ways to save with AFC when we're talking about travel. One of the great ways we do is our early booking savings, and those are published in the brochure. One of the great ways to save on that is now through the end of the month, through February 28th, if you're the first 1 to 10 passengers booking on a tour, you automatically save $100. If you're the 11th through 20th, you save $75. And through the end of the month, this extra special rate, if you're the 21st through 50th passenger, you save $50. So you don't have to do anything extra, just book as one of the first on a tour. Now, our cabin category upgrade, this is also a specialty. We have one river cruise left available for the year. That is our October 25th Burgundy Provence River Cruise. These are some top selling trips. They go out the door really quick, so very limited space available on those. But if you book a lower category, say a category B, you're automatically upgraded to the category above it. Better positioning on the ship, better quality rooms available. The only difference is this does not apply to the suites, but this could save you anywhere from $200 to $400 per person on your river cruise. So great opportunity to save. Again, if you book by Friday, March 3rd and use the code PARKS for this show special, you get these savings applied. Now, I wanted to quickly touch on a couple of fantastic programs coming up in the next couple of months. The DC Cherry Blossoms trip takes you to our nation's capital, where the decision to create these parks was initiated. This is a great one hotel stay, departing April 10th for 5 nights in Washington, D.C. We take you to Arlington National Cemetery, the Capitol Visitor Center, with a look inside the Capitol building, the Library of Congress, and so much more. So this is a guaranteed departure, and I highly recommend, if you are interested, to book now. Now, San Antonio Fiesta is a 5-day, 4-night experience at one hotel in the heart of San Antonio. And this is an incredible opportunity to see how our country expanded into the South. We visit the Alamo, learn about the battle for Texas. Then it's off to the Lyndon B. Johnson Presidential Library in the state capital of Austin on the University of Texas campus. Now, the highlight for many is the Riverwalk and its Cavaliers Parade. This event is put on by the U.S. Army, and it's a floating parade dedicated to our servicemen and women. It's a great destination with a fabulous event included. And the departure date for this is April 21st, and San Antonio is just an incredible spot to be. So please sign up if that's an interest for you. Now, we incorporate the Atlantic coastal stretch of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida on this incredible tour, Savannah and Charleston. And you can see up above, the first departure, March 29th, is already sold out. So we have 2 remaining dates. That is April 26th with Chris McCool and November 8th with Deb Howard. We start in beautiful Charleston and get to see all sorts of history incorporated with this, taking you back in time, seeing some incredible construction from the 17 and 1800s. And we stay 3 nights near the historic district in Charleston. And if you're a landscape or gardening enthusiast, this tour is especially for you. Our first visit is to Middleton Place, and that's home of America's oldest landscape garden. The stone masonry, their well-kept grounds, and stunning statues bring to life this incredible locale. Then it's off on a city tour of Charleston. Charleston was settled by the English in 1670, making this one of America's oldest cities along the Ashley River. And Charleston was the commercial center of trade in rice and indigo for many, many years. You'll see the Alston House, which was built in 1825, commanding a magnificent view of the Charleston Harbor. And we visit Waterfront Park, which is a beautiful part of town, and its pineapple statue as a symbol of hospitality. As we continue our journey south, our stop in Beaufort, South Carolina sees the town in style, and we take a horse-drawn carriage on this tour. Now, throughout our journey, you'll see some of the historic mansions of the South. Then we stay 2 nights in Savannah. This gorgeous city is one of my favorite locations. It's got a European-style charm with its public squares, oak trees, azaleas, and covered in Spanish moss. On our city tour, we see the Old Cotton Exchange, the River Street, and the site of General Sherman's March to the Sea in Madison Square. And for 2 nights, we're lucky enough to stay at the famed Jekyll Island Club, and that was built in 1880s. Originally, it was the site of an exclusive hunting club and open to the rich and famous, but once under a new name, it was known as the richest, most exclusive, and inaccessible club in the world. So the island was home to the Rockefellers, the Goodyear family, the Pulitzers, and so many more. Their homes are a part of a guided trolley tour that features these properties. And we wind down to Florida to fly out of Jacksonville on this departure. And there are 3 dates for this tour. Again, March 29th, which is sold out, and the 2 remaining, April 26th and November 8th. So don't miss out on this beautiful trip. As a brand new tour for 2023, I always say this program is a great blend of 3 trips we've done in the past. Music Cities with our time in Nashville, Kentucky with Noah's Ark, and the Smoky Mountains with Pigeon Forge. So we've combined the best qualities of all 3 into one great tour. And you'll fly into Louisville, Kentucky, and stay 2 nights at either the Galt House or Brown Hotel. We start the trip with a visit to the Mecca of horse racing, and that is Churchill Downs. So that's where you'll tour the Kentucky Derby Museum that focuses on the legacy of the longest continuously operating sporting event in the country, dating back to 1875. Our next visit takes us to the Louisville Slugger Museum, and you get to explore the history of baseball and the bats that built the game. And you can't go to Kentucky without learning about bourbon, and nearly 90% of the world's bourbon is produced here. We head over to the Evan Williams Distillery for the bourbon experience, so that's a great chance to try some of that good stuff. The Ark Encounter features a full-size Noah's Ark, and that was built according to the dimensions given in the Bible. It's the largest timber frame structure in the entire world, and you'll see numerous exhibits on living quarters and life on the Ark. Then we leave Louisville and head to Lexington, and that's where we visit the Kentucky Horse Park. This celebrates man's relationship with the majestic animal, and we take you into the beautiful state of North Carolina over to the Biltmore Estate. That was constructed in 1895 for George Washington Vanderbilt, and it's a 250-room chateau with manicured gardens and grounds designed by Frederick Law Olmsted. Our last 2 days and nights are spent in the magical city of Nashville, and there is so much about this place to love. It's the home of country music, and on Broadway, the streets lined with music venues left and right, also called Music Row. And we spend 2 nights at the beautiful property of the Gaylord Opryland. And this is an expansive hotel with so much to see and do. And spending 2 days alone exploring the hotel could be an option for you because there's so much going on there. As part of our city tour, we stop at the Country Music Hall of Fame. And this extensive museum is dedicated to the music that put Nashville on the map. And then we also get a chance to stop at the Ryman Auditorium, which is known as the Mother Church of Country Music. And our grand finale is a performance of America's longest running radio show at the Grand Ole Opry. Now, regarding the parks, we get to visit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And this is a scenic wilderness area covering 816 square miles. It was established back in 1936 to protect a hardwood forest. And as you can see in these photos, the mountains and the trees go on and on as far as the eye can see. And it's home to some of the highest peaks in the Appalachian Mountains and many animals, including the black bear, wild boar, foxes, and wolves. In 2021, this was the most visited national park with over 12 million visitors. So great opportunity to see that on this wonderful tour. As we make our way into the west a little ways, Idaho Adventure. Idaho provides some of the most exquisite landscape in the country. We start this tour by flying into eastern Washington and crossing the border to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And we stay 2 nights at the Coeur d'Alene Resort right on the lake. Now, not many companies visit Idaho as a mainstay on tour, but this is an incredible gem of a state and has so much to see and offer. Not only is the Coeur d'Alene Resort spectacular, but from there we venture out to Wallace, and that is home to some of the state's largest silver mines. You'll get a chance to experience this firsthand as we take you into the heart of the mine with a local miner. Now, our evening includes a dinner at the Ryder Ranch. That makes you feel like a cowboy out west. And we travel south to Riggins for a 2-night stay at the Salmon Rapids Lodge, and that sits right on the edge of the Salmon River. This is a gorgeous setting, and we maximize our time along that route with a stop at the Lewis and Clark Discovery Center. And this is where you can learn about the Corps of Discovery, their journey to the Pacific, and in Idaho specifically, they encountered the Nez Perce and Shoshone tribes. This tour also features a trip down the Snake River via jet boat, and that gives you a chance to experience the nature and landscape. We wind our way through McCall, and that is home to the Smoke Jumper School, That's where firefighters are trained to jump out of perfectly good planes and into forest fires to fight the blazes. Our last 2 nights are at the magical resort of Sun Valley Inn, and that dates back to 1936. It's one of the most historic and earliest ski resorts in America. And Ketchum was home of Ernest Hemingway, and we also have the chance to see his memorial while in town. Now, pictured on the left is the Salmon River with runoff from the Bitterroot and Sawtooth Mountains, and it runs over 125 miles. On the right, the majestic Sawtooth Mountains in central Idaho. So just a spectacular trip. All I can say when I drive through Idaho is wow, because there's scenery left and right. But 2 great departures, June 7th and September 13th with Chris McCool. Now, our Colorado Rails and National Parks Tour. This is a great program, both with guaranteed departures, June 18th and August 6th. We'll start out in Denver and stay 1 night there. Denver is a fantastic hub, a very active community, so very much a lot going on there. We'll stay the night before working our way out to Vail, and we'll stop in Vail for lunch. This is one of the most popular ski resort areas in the entire country. Then we stay 2 nights in the city of Grand Junction, a great hop-off point for 2 national park visits. One to Arches with over 2,000 rock formations, and then down to Canyonlands. So 2 nights from Grand Junction. Then we're off to Silverton, and we take the Silverton and Durango Railroad, which is a historic rail route dating back to the 1880s. From there, we hop off in Durango and stay 2 nights there, and that's where we visit Mesa Verde National Park. So great spot. Then we continue off to Colorado Springs, and en route we stop at the Great Sand Dunes National Park. Just a beautiful setting with sand as far as the eye can see. And a second train trip, which is the Royal Gorge route. And you can see that pictured in the bottom right corner, traveling along that river. On our 3 nights in Colorado Springs, we also get to enjoy the U.S. Olympic Center, learning all about the Olympic athletes and the training grounds. Then we see the Air Force Academy as part of our time there, and the Garden of the Gods. And we have a fantastic chuck wagon supper to take you out to the west. So as we make our way through, this is a couple of great shots of the Garden of the Gods, great park that we drive through and make a stop at. And then Mesa Verde National Park, just a beautiful setting with some great history dating back to prehistoric times and the Native American tribes that have lived in this area. So highly recommend this tour, June 18th and August 6th, the August 6th departure with Brad Wenzel. Hawaii 3 Islands, a great chance to get out to the Pacific. And the palm trees, warm breeze, and all sorts of great fruit are just some of the high points of visiting the islands. Now we arrive on Oahu and stay right near Waikiki Beach in Honolulu for 3 nights. And the following day we visit Pearl Harbor and take a trip out to the USS Arizona to pay our respects to the servicemen and women that died there. From there, we'll set off on a Honolulu city tour that incorporates Punch Bowl Crater, the state capitol, and the governor's mansion. And then you can choose a day off at Waikiki or take a Circle Island tour, seeing the Dole Pineapple Plantation and the North Shore, which is famous for surfing. Then we head to the Big Island, and that's where we'll visit Volcanoes National Park, as well as the Black Sand Volcanic Beach. That sand is made from pitch black fragments of cooled volcanic lava. You'll check into your resort on the Kona coast for 2 nights, and there we travel over to Kailua Kona for dinner. We'll enjoy the following day on your own or take a whale watching excursion, getting the chance to see the humpback whales and spinner dolphins travel through the islands each year. And then fly to Maui, and that's where we'll travel to the Iowa Valley to see some of the luscious parts of the island. Now we stay in Lahaina for 3 nights in this magical time on Maui. And this is an old whaling village, so really great history there. In the morning, we head up to the clouds and to Haleakala Crater for some stunning views over the island chain. And our farewell on tour is a true Hawaiian luau. That's where we learn about the story of the Polynesian culture, how they made their way through the islands in canoes and outriggers, and then also get to learn about some of the dances that make the Polynesian culture so special. So our February departure is sold out. We took off just a couple of days ago, March 17th and November 7th are the two dates that remain, and this is a great 9-day, 11 meals incorporated. So here you get a chance to picture on the left-hand side, that's Volcanoes National Park with gorgeous views of this lava still erupting out. And then on the right-hand side, this is the black volcanic sand beach. Now, Great Trains and Grand Canyons operates during the spring and fall. We avoid the heat of the Arizona summer, and this is our top-selling tour out west. And you can see above all the different departure dates. Our first couple of departures are already sold out, but April, May, September, and October dates are still available. Now, we stay 5 nights surrounded by the beautiful red rocks of Sedona, and our first full day takes us around Sedona on a trolley tour. Now, that makes stops at the Chapel of the Holy Cross, as well over into Tlaquepaque. Now, Tlaquepaque is an artist community built to resemble a small Mexican village. And it's just incredible, all the different galleries and shops they have there. We take you to Uptown Sedona as well. And our day to the Grand Canyon takes us through to Williams, Arizona. And that's where we board the Grand Canyon Railroad. We take that out to the south rim of the canyon. And this is really a magical experience. We get off the train, we work our way over to the Bright Angel Lodge, a historic lodge, and that's where we step out the back doors to the canyon. And this is one of the most majestic areas I've ever seen in my life. Then an unknown highlight for most is our journey on the Verde Canyon Railroad. This takes us through some of the most lush and beautiful stretches of Arizona. Really, the biggest draw, again, is staying at one hotel for your entire stay, 5 nights at one property. And that's where you get to unpack and relax. Now, here's a great shot of the Grand Canyon from the South Rim. Just beautiful, opening up to all sorts of different colors in the sandstone, limestone, and so much more, out to the Colorado River. And then here is pictured a few shots from our trip on the Verde Canyon Railroad. So a lot of people haven't heard of this, but this is one of my favorite aspects of this tour. We get that first-class rail car that you can see on the right with such comfortable seating. You can sit back, relax, have a prickly pear margarita while we travel. Or get out in the upper left corner is the open air car with the naturalist on board. And they tell us all about the landscape, the different geological formations, as well as the wildlife. So just a wonderful program to enjoy. On our Southwest National Parks tour, this trip enjoys 2 nights in Las Vegas. That's where we incorporate a city tour, also seeing Fremont Street, which is old Las Vegas, and time at the Las Vegas Mob Museum to learn about the history of town. As we leave Las Vegas, we venture to the west rim of the Grand Canyon, and that's where we stop at the Skywalk. And this breathtaking 10-foot wide horseshoe shaped glass bridge extends about 70 feet out over the rim of the Grand Canyon. Gives you a clear view about 4,000 feet to the canyon floor. We then head off for a 3-night stay in Mesquite, and that's our hub for ventures out to both Bryce and Zion National Parks. These are 2 of my favorite parks in the country. They sit on the northern end of the Colorado Plateau, and that plateau stretches all the way down to the canyon. This incredible location also features so many great rock formations that are unmatched in Bryce Canyon. And then the Valley of Zion is a sight to behold. We enjoy the tram tour there through the park, and our guide tells us all about the various rock formations and the rock walls that we're seeing. And we work our way back to the end of the valley. Now, this trip takes off April 30th, September 24th, and November 5th. And this is a great way to see the parks of Utah and Arizona. And here's just a couple of more perspectives of the Skywalk. Now, this is managed by the Hualapai Nation of Native Americans. And so they take good care of this area. Then we have Bryce Canyon. And this is a spectacular sight to see all the different hoodoo formations found in Bryce. So over thousands of years, the wind, rain, and snow and ice have blessed us with these incredible erosive sandstone pillars. Now, Waterways in Northwest National Parks is a spectacular tour. And we start by flying into Seattle and staying 2 nights just south in the city of Tacoma. Tacoma was originally going to be a larger city than Seattle. It had the Deepwater Harbor as well as the railroad that came in. So it was the hub of shipping and transportation. But in 1897, there was a ship called the USS Portland that came in carrying 2 tons of gold from the Klondike. And this changed Seattle into a boomtown. So from Tacoma, we work our way out to Northwest Trek Wildlife Park. That features not only Northwest species of animals like the gray wolf, but also species from all over the country like buffalo. And we do a tram tour through there. Then we work our way up to the tallest mountain of the Cascade Mountain Range, and that is Mount Rainier. So Mount Rainier sitting over 14,000 feet with amazing lush scenery and landscape. We stop up at Paradise Inn, and that sits at the base of a couple of the amazing glaciers. There are about 25 glaciers on the mountain itself. From there, we continue around to one of the hardest reached areas in Washington, and that's the Olympic National Park. And we stay 2 nights in Port Angeles. That is where we jump off to a location called Hurricane Ridge. This location takes a view over the Olympic mountain range, and they sit about 10,000 feet of elevation. So beautiful views from there. We get to enjoy the national park itself, as well as taking a whale watch excursion. We take you up through the San Juan Islands, a gorgeous archipelago with about 5 main islands. And there, several runs of orca make their way through the island chain. We stop in Port Townsend in Washington. That was originally the immigration port for the state up until the late 1800s. And this is a wonderful port town with a lot of historic buildings still remaining. And then we work our way down to Bainbridge Island, and that's where we take a ferry across the Puget Sound. And as we enter the city of Seattle, you can see the city skyline laid out in front of you. So just a beautiful experience to take in. We stay 2 nights in Seattle at the end. That's where we do a city tour with the famous Pike Place Market, where they throw the fish, as well as these beautiful flower bouquets that were brought in from the eastern part of the state. Now we have 2 departures on this, July 14th with Deb Howard, and then August 18th as well. And here you can see Mount Rainier in all its glory on the left-hand side with all these beautiful blooms of flowers. And then on the right side, this is the Hurricane Ridge Visitor Center. This is, as I mentioned before, where you can see mountains of elevations of about 10,000 feet as far as the eye can see. Now, if you want to talk about national parks, this is really the National Parks Tour all combined. It's got so many parks incorporated. We start out by flying into Rapid City, and here we stay 2 nights in the City of the Presidents. This is the hub for many activities in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And we see Mount Rushmore in 2 different lights, see it during the daytime and the afternoon, and then we come back in the evening for the illumination ceremony. That's where a park ranger comes out, tells us all about the mountain, and then they light it up behind them. From there, we continue over to Crazy Horse Memorial. And this was a site started in construction in 1948. I keep saying about 150 more years should do it. But this is a gorgeous location paying tribute to the chief, Crazy Horse. We'll travel to Deadwood, learn about some of the famous characters like Calamity Jane, and then continue over to Devil's Tower and stay 1 night in Sheridan. And Devil's Tower rises over 1,200 feet above the Belle Fourche River. And one of my favorite stops on this tour is as we're coming over the Bighorn Mountains and entering into the valley, we visit Cody, Wyoming. And this is a site of the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum. It's a 5-part museum at the center of the West. So you explore Plains Indian cultures, trailblazing cowboys, cowgirls, and Native American artwork. The tour then enters Yellowstone National Park through the east entrance. And this is where we pass Buffalo Bill Reservoir, the Shoshone River, and Yellowstone Lake. And we stay 2 nights in West Yellowstone, so that's into Montana. And from there, we continue back into the park for a loop tour, and that focuses on some great sites as well. So here we get to see the park itself. We see Old Faithful Geyser, getting to see the buffalo generally. We can't guarantee wildlife, but if there's ever a place to see it, the continuous amount of buffalo are present here. And then these beautiful fountain pots with all sorts of colors. I swear I hear the folks saying, it smells like eggs about 10 times a day when I'm in the park because of the sulfur. Then on the right-hand side, this is Yellowstone Canyon. Beautiful waterfall and amazing views of this. So this trip runs June 15th and July 13th. we work our way from Yellowstone down to Jackson Hole, and en route we see the Grand Teton Mountains National Park. From Jackson Hole, we work our way into Utah and stay one night in Salt Lake City, and that's where we'll do a city tour. It features the Mormon Tabernacle, the Temple Square, as well as the University of Utah. So just a fantastic trip getting to see the majority of national parks to the north. Then our Black Hills and Badlands tour. This is a great one hotel stay where you get to unpack once in Rapid City. And we see Mount Rushmore both in day and night, as well as the Crazy Horse Memorial. But one of the great features of this trip is Badlands National Park. So we work our way just to the east, about an hour or so. The Badlands used to be an exotic rainforest at one point in time with incredible wildlife. Today, it's got so many different layers of geology left remaining, and our guides do a great job explaining each layer. From the Badlands, we go over to Wall Drug. This is a famous spot where they advertise water, free water for miles and miles as an attraction. From there, we continue down south to see the Mammoth site. This is where we learn about woolly mammoths. And then we also go to an incredible site on this tour, which is the Buffalo Jeep Safari in Custer State Park. Now, this tour takes off June 7th and July 12th. July 12th is guaranteed at this point, and we anticipate June 7th getting to that point as well. Here's a great perspective of the Buffalo Jeep Safari. I continue to tell folks this is an incredible opportunity to learn about the buffalo. We get right up close and personal without getting in the way, and it's like we're herders moving out the buffalo to each side. There's over 1,000 head of buffalo in this park. Now this trip, Utah's Mighty National Parks, is a new tour for us, and we have 4 different dates. The first 3 are already guaranteed. We anticipate October 1st getting to that point as well. But this brings to life the majority of the great parks of Utah, and truly a great way to see it. We start out in Grand Junction, staying one night there before working our way over to the Colorado National Monument. And there's all sorts of unique geological formations here, biological soil crusts, as well as similar aspects called potholes. Now, after our visit, we make a stop for a wine tasting in the up-and-coming Colorado wine region of the Grand Valley AVA. So they've been growing grapes since the 1880s in this area. And we then drive along a beautiful scenic byway, 128, known as the River Road, as it follows the Colorado River for a 44-mile stretch. And it's an incredible, beautiful drive. We arrive in Moab and get to spend 5 nights in one hotel there. And this is a great hub for ventures into the different parks. Now, Capitol Reef National Park is a hidden treasure filled with cliffs, canyons, domes, and bridges, and the Water Pocket Fold, which is a geologic monocline extending about 100 miles. We visit Dead Horse State Point, and this is where we see the famous point with its dramatic bend of the Colorado River. Then we enter into Canyonlands, and this is part of Canyonlands National Park, which is the largest national park in Utah. The island in the sky sits atop a massive 1,500-foot mesa, quite literally an island in the sky. And about 20 miles of paved roads lead to many of the spectacular views in canyon country. The canyons were carved by both the Colorado and Green Rivers over centuries. Then it's off to Arches, and Arches is spectacular, sitting only about 5 miles from Moab, and it contains the world's largest concentration of natural sandstone arches. The park totals about 76,000 acres with balanced rock, a scenic drive, and a variety of rock formations throughout. Then it's off to Monument Valley, and on this program we take you to Monument Valley and the Navajo land. This is where we were led by a Navajo tribal member out to see these magical formations and learn about what they mean to the culture. Our farewell dinner in Canyonlands takes you on a river cruise by night. That's where a guide will present a narrated show that illuminates the entire canyon walls. So really interesting experience to go out there. And so I highly recommend this tour, brand new to us. Just to give you a quick overview. Again, April 30th, June 18th, September 24th, and October 1st. As we move through, just wanted to mention this fantastic program because it does hit one of the U.S. national parks, and that is Glacier National Park. But this tour includes round-trip air into Calgary, and we head up across the border into Canada. So Alberta, Canada. Calgary is home to the famous Stampede Rodeo, and that takes place in July. We make our way over to a World Heritage site called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump, and it's a 6,000-year-old site where the buffalo used to roam. The Blackfeet used that as hunting grounds, and so for many, many years, this was their main focal point. From there, we head over to Waterton Lakes. That's been a protected site since 1897, and Waterton was Canada's 4th national park. It's the smallest in the Rockies, and that's where you'll see clear lakes, diverse wildlife, and beautiful surrounding mountains. We head into Glacier in Montana for a one-night stay, and this is one of the least visited areas due to its remote location. In 1850, there were an estimated 80 glaciers, and in 2015, they estimate about 25 to 26 have the same size to be considered a glacier, so quite a bit of a drop-off. We'll work our way over to an experience called the Red Jammer Cars, and this is where you board 1930s cars that have been restored and work our way along the Continental Divide, and that's where we end at Lake McDonald before heading over to Kalispell, Montana. We take a drive through the beautiful red walls of Sinclair Canyon and Radium Hot Springs as we visit Kootenay National Park en route to Banff for a 3-night stay. And Banff sits in western Alberta, about 36 miles from Lake Louise. So the town developed after the arrival of the Canadian Pacific Railway, and the Banff National Park was established in 1887. It's a great year-round tourist hub, but we get to see the gorgeous Lake Louise with its shimmering water, surrounded by epic mountains, and again, just a great place to take in. So 3 departures for this year, June 21st, July 19th, and August 16th. Then getting into a fantastic fiesta tour, New Mexico Balloon Fiesta. This is where we stay 2 nights in Albuquerque and enjoy the balloon fiesta in 2 different ways. We see it in the morning as the sun rises up over the hills, and this is called the Mass Ascension. Anywhere between 500 and 700 balloons take off at once, and these beautiful colors fill the air. Then we come back in the evening for the balloon glow, and imagine the sun's already set, the darkness takes over, but these balloons begin to fill with this heat, and the color, again, enhances the entire backdrop. We'll work our way from Albuquerque over to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. This is where you learn about the Southwest Native American tribes. And then up over to the Los Alamos Bradbury Science Center. And this focuses on the Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb. We'll stay 3 nights in the beautiful town of Santa Fe. And this is where we see the plaza and so much more on our city tour. And then we take the high road to Taos. Now, Taos is an Indian pueblo, still home to a Native American tribe, and we do a tour of those locations. En route, we stop in Chimayo, and this is home of the El Santuario. This is a Spanish-style church with a winding staircase, and it's a home to the pilgrimage that takes place from Santa Fe to Chimayo with about 30,000 people each year. But 2 great departures, October 6th and October 13th, both are guaranteed. And I wanted to mention our mystery tours. These are trips that are a huge success for us and sell out nearly every departure. Deb Howard's out on one right now. She gets back later today, but it's doing a great job talking all about the mystery of this trip. Now, how this works is our staff is here to help you pick out the right departure for you. So if you've done 1 or more mystery tours with us, at time of booking, our team can direct you to something new for you. And how they work is when you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the average weather in the destination, and some helpful hints. About 3 weeks prior, you'll receive your packet, and that tells you your flight as well as your first destination. And it's fun to tell the folks at the check-in counter at the airport you don't know where you're going. Once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out your first destination, and that's where your tour manager will meet you. They'll meet you in baggage claim on arrival. Now, over the course of the trip, they'll reveal tour components or give you clues along the way and prepare you for what's coming next. And these are trips for folks who have been to most major U.S. cities and destinations. those who have a sense of adventure and those who don't need to know all the details. But they're very fun itineraries and a great concept that's been so successful. You can see the first 4 are already guaranteed, and we anticipate many more to come. We do have an international departure from Mystery Tours, and that is August 13th. So a great experience going to Canada, I will tell you that much. And our New England Rails and Trails program. This features some of the best of the Northeast. And we start out heading into Boston for one night. We include a city tour, and that's where we see the Old North Church and so many more great features of Boston and the Revolutionary War. Then we head off to the north, going over to New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. And we have 2 departures on this trip in 2023. One is September on the 30th, and the other is October 4th. October 4th is already guaranteed. And we stay 2 nights in the town of Jackson, New Hampshire. And we board the scenic Mount Washington Cogway Rail. And this takes us on a 3-hour journey up to Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in the White Mountains. Now, this is the day of rail journeys, as you'll also get to experience the Conway Scenic Train with all the colorful trees and landscape. And the following day, you'll leave New Hampshire for Burlington, Vermont, and a 2-night stay. En route, traveling along the Kankamangas Highway, and this is a beautiful scenic drive. You'll see the fabulous Keechee Gorge, and this is known as Vermont's Little Grand Canyon, and then arrive at a working dairy farm. Now, there are a number of tours and tastings on this trip, as you'll try Ben & Jerry's famous ice cream, Vermont's specialty maple syrup and other maple treats, and then we also stop at the Cold Hollow Cider Mill and enjoy some cold-pressed apple cider. Whether you like it hard or not, there's some great options there. From Vermont, we take you to the largest city in Maine, and that is Portland, for a 2-night stay. And we head out on Casco Bay, filled with countless islands and seeing many of the lighthouses that dot the coast. One of the specialties in Maine is the lobster from the cold Atlantic waters, and we wrap this tour up with a lobster farewell dinner. But this is September 30th and October 4th, and here pictured on the left-hand side, that is the Conway Scenic Rail. So especially during the fall, this is all sorts of different colors incorporated. On the right-hand side, this is Vermont's Little Grand Canyon. This is Keechee Gorge. So just stunning sights throughout the Northeast. Now, Coastal Maine Lighthouses and Landscapes is a beautiful trip to one of the nation's oldest cities, in Boston. So we'll start out with one night. This was founded by the Puritans in 1630. Now, a sightseeing tour of Boston includes the State House, Boston's oldest public building, that hosted the reading of the Declaration of Independence from its balcony. You'll see the Boston Common. That's a 50-acre central park in downtown, and it's the oldest city park in the United States, dating to 1634. We'll also include Old North Church, where on April 18th, 1775, they read the Declaration. And we'll see the USS Constitution, which was first launched in 1797, nicknamed Old Ironsides. One of the differences on this Boston City tour is our chance to see Fenway Park, and this is home of the Red Sox since 1912. So it's the oldest ballpark in the U.S., and we include a tour of the stadium on this trip. So we enter Maine from Boston, and that's known for its rocky coastline, maritime history, and natural beauty. Now, Maine is known as the Pine Tree State, as forest land covers about 89% of the state's land area. And you'll get to rest your head in either Portland or Kennebunkport for a 5-night stay. The old port features working fishing wharfs, converted warehouses, and restaurants and shops. Then it's a quaint historic district with cobblestone streets, brick buildings, and clothing boutiques all over. The tour includes a scenic Casco Bay cruise, seeing the lighthouses, local homes, and hopefully some sea life, like sea lions or seals. And then the coast of Maine itself is where migrating humpback whales can be seen. We visit Portland Head Lighthouse on this tour, and that's a historic lighthouse in Cape Elizabeth. The light station sits at the entrance of the primary shipping canal into Portland Harbor. Then on day 4, we visit the coastal town of Kennebunkport in southern Maine. It's known for its beaches as well as the Bush compound, where the president stayed. Now, Ogunquit, with about 1,000 residents, is a town on Maine's southern coast as well, and it's got a long sandy peninsula of grassy dunes. Then local fishermen will take you out on a working lobster boat, and you get to try your hand at lobster fishing. We'll see the Cape Nettic Lighthouse, and that was put into use in 1879 and still active today. And then, of course, you can't go to New England without a traditional lobster clam bake. So this is a traditional method of cooking seafood like lobster, mussels, crab, and soft-shell clams. We stop and visit a maple sugar house, which is a specialized building where sap from the sugar maple tree comes. And then the last night features a farewell dinner with your new friends to share memories of your trip. So after breakfast on day 7, we travel back south to Boston for your flight home. And we have some great departures, July 22nd, August 12th, September 23rd, and October 7th. Now, we also partner with some great cruise lines. First and foremost, American Queen Steamboat Company. And this takes trips up and down the Mississippi River in all different patterns. So you can start and do the entire length, or you can do it in segments. They also run the Columbia River paddle wheeler, and this takes you along the Snake and Salmon as well as the Columbia River. And there you learn all about Lewis and Clark as well as the scenery of the Columbia River Gorge. And that ends over in Portland. Then we have some great ocean cruise partners. We work with Holland America as well as Princess. So if there's any destination you're looking into, please let us know. We're more than happy to help you book it. As I mentioned before, we have some great show specials if you book a new 2023 tour or river cruise by Friday, March 3rd. We'll drop the deposit from $350 to $100, so down to $250. And then we'll take $20 off your travel insurance or travel protection if you pay with your deposit. For early booking, if you're the first 1 to 10 passengers booked on a tour, you automatically save $100. If you're the 11th through 20th passenger, you'll save $75. And now through the end of the month, if you're the 21st through 50th passenger, you save $50. We have the one cabin category upgrade on our October 25th Burgundy and Provence River cruise on the Rhone River in France. And that has a 2-night extension as well up to the city of Paris. But again, you must book by Friday, March 3rd for these great specials to apply and use the savings code PARKS. So how you can book, you can call our 1-800 number, 1-800-369-3693. Email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com. Just be aware April is out of the office at the moment. And then you can also check our website, and that is afcvacations.com, filling out a reservations form under the forms code. We want to thank you for your attendance today. Thanks for jumping on with us. We have some fantastic trips coming up, not only to the national parks, but also internationally as well. If you do have any questions, any feedback out of the show, if you have any ideas for a better time slot, if something else works better for you, please let us know. You can email April at afctours.com. Just want to thank you again, and we'll see you out there on the road.